Every town has one cop everyone trusts. In Briarwood, that officer was Daniel Reeves. 10 years on the force, a clean record, and a smile that made people feel safe. But what no one knew was that Daniel carried a secret that would destroy everything. Most officers feared crime scenes. Daniel, he loved them. He always volunteered to be the first inside, searching rooms, checking drawers, securing evidence. But Daniel wasn't securing anything. He was taking things. Small at first, cash from a nightstand, a wallet left behind, loose bills scattered on the floor. Nothing large enough to raise alarms. But over time, Daniel started selecting scenes where victims wouldn't notice. Drug dealers, unregistered residents, evictions, people who couldn't legally report what was missing. Everyone thought Daniel was helping the community. In reality, he was building a life funded by stolen evidence. And no one suspected him. Not yet. Because the camera that would finally expose him hadn't been invented when he started. Daniel's career of quiet theft almost ended in year 3. He and his partner responded to a burglary in an abandoned house. While his partner cleared the upstairs, Daniel opened a drawer and found a tightly folded envelope full of $100 bills. He hesitated. This wasn't drug money. This wasn't from a criminal. This was someone's life savings. But the house had no owner on record. The suspect was already gone, and no one would claim the cash. What Daniel didn't realize was that someone was watching from across the street. An elderly woman. She saw Daniel slip the envelope into his vest. But she misunderstood. She thought he was handling evidence. She even waved at him later and thanked him for protecting the neighborhood. Daniel realized something that day. People see what they expect to see, and everyone expected him to be a hero. That mistake gave him confidence, the dangerous kind. It pushed him deeper. If you looked closely, Daniel followed a pattern no one else noticed. Every scene he stole from had 3 traits. 1, no active witnesses. 2, evidence chaos, lots of items easy to lose. And 3, victims who couldn't risk calling the police again. Drug overdoses, prohibited firearms calls, squatter evictions, places where the officers were usually too overwhelmed to document every dollar, every watch, every phone. Daniel always stepped in first. "Let me clear it," he'd say. "Let me secure the valuables. Let me handle the paperwork." Everyone assumed he was being helpful. But behind locked doors, Daniel moved fast. Pockets, drawers, shoeboxes, behind vents. He pocketed whatever wouldn't be missed. He told himself it wasn't stealing. Criminals don't deserve this money, he thought. He convinced himself he was taking from the bad to build a better life. But Daniel didn't notice one thing. Crime scene theft leaves a digital trail too. And soon, someone would find it. Officer Maya Torres joined the Briarwood Police Department in 2019. Sharp, quiet, observant. Daniel underestimated her immediately. During a drug bust, Maya noticed something odd. Daniel rushed inside before backup arrived. He stayed inside longer than necessary. When he came out, his vest looked slightly heavier. She didn't say anything, not yet. A week later, during a domestic call, Maya watched Daniel open drawers he didn't need to open. He walked out of the house with a closed fist. Again, she said nothing. But Maya was building a mental file, and one night she whispered to another officer, "Have you ever noticed Daniel always volunteers to enter first?" The officer shrugged. "Yeah," he said, "he's just proactive." But Maya wasn't convinced. She didn't know it yet, but she would become the reason Daniel's world collapsed. Bodycams were introduced in Briarwood in early 2020. Most officers hated them. Daniel despised them. He found excuses constantly. "My camera battery died. Forgot to charge it. Glitch in the mount." Supervisors believed him. Why would the department's most trusted officer lie? But Maya noticed the pattern again. His body cam conveniently failed at scenes involving cash or valuables. She reported it once. Her sergeant shook his head. "Reeves is a model cop. Don't go making enemies on your first year." But Maya wasn't trying to make enemies. She was trying to understand the truth. So she stopped talking about Daniel and started watching him more closely. What she didn't expect was that Daniel had noticed her watching back, and it made him nervous in a way he hadn't felt in a decade. On a cold February night, dispatch sent Daniel and Maya to a suspected overdose, a small apartment, a young man unresponsive on the bed, cash everywhere. To Daniel, it was a gold mine. Maya focused on CPR. Daniel focused on the money. He knew Maya's hands were occupied. He stepped into the bedroom, out of her view. He reached into a drawer and smiled. Then he heard it, a faint beep. Daniel froze. That sound wasn't coming from his radio. It was coming from Maya's body cam recording in the next room. He swallowed hard, wiped sweat from his forehead, and stepped out casually as paramedics arrived. But Maya glanced at him strangely, as if she sensed something was off. Daniel thought he was safe. He didn't know that Maya had a habit of reviewing footage before writing her reports, and in less than 12 hours, she would see something she was never supposed to see. The next morning, Maya sat in her patrol car reviewing last night's footage. She wasn't expecting anything until she heard it again, that beep. She rewound. The camera caught a moment she hadn't even noticed, a faint reflection in the mirror across the hallway. She zoomed in. There was Daniel, standing in the bedroom, opening a drawer and stuffing something into his vest. Not clearly, but enough to raise suspicion. Maya's heart pounded. She rewatched it 5 times, each time the same conclusion. Daniel Reeves was stealing from crime scenes. She closed her laptop, hands shaking. Reporting him would destroy her career or save it. But staying silent meant letting a dirty cop keep operating. She didn't know it yet, but bringing this forward would spark the biggest internal investigation the town had ever seen. Maya submitted the footage to Internal Affairs. Their reaction was immediate and tense. "Reeves? Are you sure? He's one of our top guys. This could ruin a decorated officer." Maya nodded, steady. "I'm sure." They reviewed the footage themselves. The reflection wasn't crystal clear, but it was enough for suspicion. Internal Affairs quietly opened an investigation, assigning 2 detectives who secretly followed Daniel for weeks. Daniel had no idea he was being watched. But the detectives quickly saw the same pattern Maya had. He arrived early, entered alone, stayed longer than needed, came out adjusting his vest. The evidence wasn't enough to arrest him, yet. But Internal Affairs wasn't finished. They set a trap, a controlled crime scene designed to expose Daniel once and for all. Internal Affairs staged a fake burglary with planted evidence, cash, jewelry, and a hidden camera behind a vent. They dispatched Daniel and Maya together. Maya knew. Daniel didn't. When they arrived, Daniel followed his usual routine. "Let me clear the bedroom," he said. He walked in, closed the door behind him. The hidden camera recorded everything. Daniel opening drawers, finding the staged cash, smirking as he slipped it into his vest. But the part that stunned investigators the most was how calm he was, how practiced. Daniel stepped out of the bedroom, ready to write his official report. But waiting outside the door were 3 Internal Affairs agents. "Officer Reeves," one said, "we need to talk to you." Daniel stopped breathing. He knew instantly it was over. In the interrogation room, Daniel tried everything. "This is a misunderstanding. I was securing evidence. You're twisting this. I'm being set up." But the investigators remained calm. They slid the hidden camera footage across the table. Daniel stared at the screen in silence. Then he said something unexpected. "You have no proof I kept it." He smirked, believing he could beat the system if they couldn't physically recover the stolen items. But Internal Affairs already anticipated that. They had subpoenaed his financial records, his purchases, his sudden unexplained wealth, and even more damning, items matching stolen property found in his home. Daniel's confidence evaporated. He leaned back in his chair, defeated. "Okay," he whispered. "You got me." But they didn't even know the half of it yet. A search warrant was executed at Daniel's house. What they found shocked even the most seasoned investigators. In a locked basement room, behind a false wall, Daniel had created a personal evidence museum. Stacks of cash, jewelry boxes, luxury watches, phones in plastic bags, wallets with IDs removed, items from at least 40 crime scenes. He wasn't just stealing, he was collecting. Some officers vomited. Others walked out shaking their heads. Maya stood in the hallway, feeling a mixture of relief and sadness. She had been right, but she never wanted to be. Internal Affairs photographed everything. Daniel's stash was bigger than they imagined, and it proved his corruption beyond question. But there was still one final twist hidden among the evidence. A twist no one expected. In Daniel's basement stash, investigators found one item that didn't make sense. A sealed envelope with the words, "For myself," written on it. They opened it. Inside was a handwritten confession dated 5 years earlier. He described how the stealing began, how it escalated, and how he couldn't stop. He even admitted, "I know this will end badly. I'm just waiting for the day." But the most disturbing line was the last one. "When someone finally catches me, I will feel free." Investigators stared at the letter in silence. Daniel wasn't just a corrupt cop. He was a man spiraling, waiting for someone to pull him out before he self-destructed. But justice doesn't care about regrets, and his consequences were just beginning. Daniel's trial became national news. The good cop gone bad, the evidence collector, the officer who robbed the people he swore to protect. His lawyer tried everything: stress disorder, financial hardship, mental breakdown. But the facts were overwhelming. Maya testified calmly, showing the footage that started it all. Internal Affairs displayed photos of Daniel's secret vault. Victims, many with criminal pasts, bravely admitted what they had been too afraid to say for years. Daniel sat motionless. The jury deliberated for only 3 hours. Verdict: guilty on 27 felony counts. Daniel showed no emotion until he saw Maya leaving the courtroom. He whispered, "Thank you," not in sarcasm, but in genuine relief, because the truth had finally caught him. Briarwood changed after Daniel's arrest. Policies tightened, bodycam requirements became strict, supervisors were retrained, evidence handling protocols doubled. Maya became a silent hero, though she never took credit. Some officers avoided her at first, fearing she was too observant. But eventually, they understood. She hadn't taken down one of their own. She had protected the badge. Daniel was sentenced to 22 years. In prison, he became oddly calm, as if he'd finally escaped the pressure of the double life he had built. His last letter from prison read, "I don't expect forgiveness, but thank you for catching me. I couldn't stop myself." Briarwood moved on, but the stain of Daniel's crimes would linger on the department for decades. In the end, it wasn't a detective or a secret witness or a confession that exposed Daniel Reeves. It was a simple body cam beep in the background of a chaotic scene, a sound so small that Daniel ignored it entirely. But small details bring down big lies. That body cam footage opened the door. Maya's courage pushed it further. Internal Affairs broke it off its hinges. And the truth Daniel hid for a decade, finally came into the light. Today, rookies in Briarwood learn one rule first. Cameras don't just record crime, they protect the innocent and expose the corrupt. Daniel Reeves thought he could steal forever. He thought no one would ever notice. But all it took was one body cam and one rookie officer who refused to look the other way. And that ended everything. If this story resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Let's start the conversations that matter, the ones that lead to real change. And if you'd like more stories that challenge us, inspire us, and remind us of what we're capable of when we stand for what's right, subscribe to the channel. Your support helps bring more stories like this to light.